Hi, my name is Gary Harbaugh, and I want to talk to you about how you can prevent bad things from happening in your church. You don't really need to watch me talk, so I'm going to shut off my camera and ask that you just direct your attention to the slide presentation that you're going to have the opportunity to watch. First of all, we live in a world full of threats, mentally ill, unstable people, terrorism, other unexpected events, fire, tornado, etc. But what I really want to focus about in this discussion is the threats of terrorism. I'm going to talk about some lessons from past terrorist attacks. First of all, there is a significant threat of terrorist attacks both in the United States and around the world. The information you can see on the screen, I'm not going to read it all to you, but there is a real threat, and your church is wise to take seriously the threats and be prepared for how to prevent these things from happening. The anatomy of a terror attack, people think of the attack as the attack itself, but the important thing for you to understand is that there is actually 3 stages to a terror attack. One is the decision stage, the second stage is the planning stage, and really the final step is carrying out the actual attack. In the decision stage, terrorists focus on soft targets. Churches, if they appear to be a soft target, invite themselves to be considered as a place for an attack. Once a decision has been made, then the terrorists must do their planning. And the most important element of planning is doing a pre-attack survey. That is, surveillance of your building, your facility that they may wish to attack. I highlight this because this is the stage in which the terrorists or the people working for them or with them are highly vulnerable to detection and your ability to prevent an attack. And that's really what the focus of this is all about, is how to prevent an attack. There are 3 goals in a pre-attack surveillance. The first attack, or the first element of that, is to avoid attention to themselves or detection. So someone may come to visit your church, and their intent is to get in, do the surveillance, that is, survey things like the layout of your building, where people are gathered, and what time people gather, all those kinds of basic elements that would allow an attack to be the most effective and do the most damage. They want to get in and do that without anybody really noticing them and having interaction with them. Second thing they want to do is they want to see any security cameras or personnel, and they want to, number 3, discover and map the layout, the entrances, the exits, and again, places where people gather. So the truth is that the first line of defense for your church is to have greeters who are very careful to make eye contact with every person who enters your building. It's critical that you do not have unmonitored entrances where someone can simply walk into your building, do a survey, and leave without anybody ever interacting with them. So greeters should make eye contact. They should attempt to speak to everyone who enters the building, just be greeting them, perhaps touch them, bump fists, shake hands, whatever, and take a special note of anyone who seeks to avoid contact. Someone may try to come in, maybe in the middle of service when nobody is at the door, or someone may try to kind of slip in with a large group of people who arrive at the same moment so that they can avoid being individually contacted, individually spoken to. Those are things to watch out for. Their goal to avoid detection means they want to come in and not be noticed and not speak to or anyone or be spoken to by anyone. Once people are in the building, you should definitely take note of anyone who appears to be checking entrances and exits, who seems like they might be doing a survey of the building. If you detect somebody that just behavior is not quite right, and if you ask me, how do you know when it's not quite right? If you've been in church for years, you know what people look like when they come to church. If somebody doesn't look quite right, you're going to see it, and they will stick out, and you'll notice it. So what should you do? You should go and introduce yourself. Hi, my name's Gary. Welcome to the Point Church. Speak to them and ask them how they found your church, if this is their first time there, things like that, just like you would do for anybody. Another thing to do that is likely, if they are really conducting a survey, it's going to make them extremely nervous, is if you offer to introduce them to other people, walk around with them a little bit and talk to them. If someone is there to do a pre-attack survey, they will not like that. They will get out of that building, out of your building as quickly as possible, and probably not come back, because once you've spoken to them and been eyeball to eyeball with them, they will know that you can identify them. If somebody comes in with a backpack, doesn't look quite right, just say, hey, our policy requires that we look in backpacks. If their behavior is really suspicious and they try to make a hasty exit, observe them, try to get an identification of their vehicle and the license plate, and make a report to law enforcement, police, or the FBI of this suspicious behavior. If every church in your community does that and they go to visit several churches, they're going to suddenly be on the radar of law enforcement, and that's really the goal of what you want to do. If for some reason you suspect an attack is imminent, somebody comes in, you suspect they have a firearm, and you have armed security, definitely notify them. If you think someone may have a firearm, the best thing you can do is crowd around close to them. If they want to get a firearm up into a position where they can do damage to people, they need some space around them to raise that gun up. If you are very close to them, you're going to be able to prevent them from doing that. I know this is frightening, but that's the best way to prevent bad things from happening. If you should advise people in your church that are not part of your security team, if people are not close to that, evade, barricade, fight, or run, hide, fight. Get away from the person with the firearm. If there are rooms people can get into, they should barricade, and the last resort should be to fight back. Now I'm talking about people, again, non-security team people, fighting back, maybe throwing chairs at them, anything. Do not simply cower and let an attack happen without fighting back or offering resistance. If you suspect someone has a bomb, several signs of that. One is person is likely to be under severe emotional distress, knowing that they have a suicide bomb and they may die momentarily. Or if they have a package with a bomb, their behavior is probably going to tip you off that something is not right with that person. The most important thing to do is get them outside the building. If you have to grab them and hustle them out, do that. Move toward solid brick walls or stone walls without windows. That is, take them toward the direction outside the door that will get them away from where that bomb will do the least damage if it happens to explode. Very important. I know this is hard stuff to think about. You're risking your life, but it's the thing that needs to be done. I want to summarize just very quickly. Terrorist attacks can be prevented at the planning and surveillance stage. And the best way to do that is do what you do best in welcoming people. Trust your instincts, your feelings, your intuition. Terror attacks are always preceded by pre-attack surveillance. The attack, 1993 World Trade Center bombing, may not remember that, but the blind sheikh and people associated with him did surveillance all around New York City for 2 years before choosing the World Trade Center for their initial attack. The Halloween terrorist who drove on a walkway and ran over a number of pedestrians, that was in October 31st of 2018. When the police reviewed surveillance video later, they realized that this guy had done pre-attack surveillance for several weeks in the area before choosing a place that he would conduct his attack. I can virtually assure you that before any attack that is pre-planned, there's going to be surveillance. And if you have your greeters and ushers, other frontline people, trained to be able to spot the attempts at doing surveillance, you can interrupt the attack cycle and prevent an attack from ever occurring at your place of worship. Another important point is do not worry alone. If you are a greeter and you see something that seems suspicious, don't just worry about that all by yourself. Notify other people. Notify your security team if you've got one. Call law enforcement if you need to do so. If something does not seem right, trust your gut instincts. Take action. Do not worry alone, and do not do nothing. Be aware and be safe. It's up to you to have church safety, because the frontline people are the folks who can prevent an attack and avoid the need for responding to an attack. If you have questions, my contact information is available, and do what said in Isaiah 21:6, post a lookout and have him report what he sees. There's my contact information. If I can help you in any additional way, please feel free to contact me. But believe me, the things that I've just told you about interrupting the attack cycle at the surveillance stage is the best thing that you can possibly know that will help you be assured of preventing an attack in your place of worship. Have a great day, and thank you for what you do to provide for church safety and security.